Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a massive, deeply ingrained dependency that touches literally every single aspect of our modern lives. From our vast ecosystems right down to our own biology. We're talking, of course, about single-use plastics. Okay, let's dive into this. I want to anchor our entire narrative today on one single, frankly, staggering data point. 1 trillion. That's a 1 with 12 zeros. That is the estimated number of plastic bags we use globally every single year. Just to put that massive number into perspective for a second, that means we are discarding millions of them every single minute of every single day. Literally, as we're speaking right now, millions more are being thrown away.
And you know what makes that sheer volume so terrifying is the extreme scale distortion of their life cycle. Think about it. The average plastic bag is really only useful to us for about 12 to 30 minutes, basically the length of a sitcom episode, right? But its environmental persistence, how long it actually sticks around on Earth, that lasts an astonishing 100 to 500 years.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the global plastic habit. Then, a massive environmental crisis. Third, the invisible health threat. Number 4, we'll be fact-checking plastic myths. And finally, number 5, solutions for a sustainable future. All right, section 1, the global plastic habit, a recent human habit. And I really want to emphasize that word, recent. It's absolutely crucial to remember that our reliance on plastic isn't some permanent, unchangeable fixture of society. It's actually a very recent shift. Look at how rapidly this all happened. Pre-1970s, reusable packaging was just the standard norm. It's just what people did. But then, in the 1970s, thanks to extremely low production costs, plastic bags rapidly replaced those reusable options. Throughout the 80s and 90s, global consumer culture just exploded, prioritizing ultimate retail convenience above all else. And because there was a complete lack of early environmental regulation, well, we arrived at the 2000s with a deeply entrenched, high-carbon consumption system. So hey, if you've ever felt that twinge of personal guilt about forgetting your reusable bag at the grocery store, take a breath. This timeline shows exactly how this systemic global habit was forcefully formed by economic factors way before we ever understood the consequences. Section 2, a massive environmental crisis, a catastrophic reality. Let's move to and see how this builds. We first need to clarify a really widespread misconception. Polyethylene, which is the most common plastic used in these bags, does not biodegrade. It doesn't just magically return to the earth. Instead, it fragments. It breaks down into much smaller, highly dangerous pieces known as microplastics, causing incredibly widespread environmental contamination. And this fragmentation, it causes massive macro-level destruction. Because of mismanaged waste, wind and water transport these bags right into our rivers and seas. This leads to ocean surface debris accumulation, deep sea contamination, and severe coral reef damage. And it's not just the oceans. Even on land, degrading bags release toxic additives right into our soil, which literally reduces crop productivity. And tragically, marine animals like sea turtles and seabirds often mistake these floating bags for jellyfish or other food. This leads to internal blockages, starvation, and just a devastating loss of marine life.
Moving on to section 3, the invisible health threat, a visceral impact.
We are now shifting from that macro environmental scale down to our very own biology. Why? Because the threat is now uncomfortably micro. Microplastics aren't just floating in some distant ocean patch anymore. They have infiltrated our agricultural soil, our river systems, and consequently our seafood. The contamination is, quite frankly, everywhere.
Which leads us to this stark scientific reality. Emerging evidence has now found microplastics in human blood samples, in our drinking water, and even in our everyday table salt. Let that sink in for a second. This crisis isn't just out there anymore, it has officially crossed the biological barrier and is literally circulating inside of us.
Now, while scientists are actively studying the long-term effects of this, the potential health risks we are looking at are deeply alarming. We're talking about potential endocrine disruption caused by the chemical additives within the plastic, inflammation responses throughout the body, and toxic accumulation in our human tissues. This ubiquitous presence in our food chain highlights a rapidly growing and very serious public health concern. Section 4, fact-checking plastic myths. Rethink our approach. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it forces us to unlearn what we think we know.
It's time to bust the 3 things we typically use to comfort ourselves about plastic. Myth number 1, plastic bags are recyclable everywhere. Well, the reality? Recycling rates remain incredibly low globally. Why? Because of contamination and severely limited infrastructure. Okay, myth number 2, paper bags are always better. Actually, scratch that. Paper production can actually have a significantly higher water and energy footprint than plastic. And myth number 3, which is probably the most dangerous one person's action doesn't matter. The scientific reality proves absolutely otherwise. Environmental modeling clearly shows that behavioral shifts scale exponentially within populations. So, relying purely on a broken recycling system or switching blindly to paper? Not a silver bullet. But your individual behavioral shift? That absolutely holds massive mathematical power.
Which brings us to Section 5, Solutions for a Sustainable Future, a plastic-free world. Here is the science-backed roadmap to a world without single-use plastic bags. When we weigh the best sustainable alternatives side by side, we get a very clear picture. On one side, reusable cloth bags, stuff made of cotton, jute, or hemp. These have a lifespan of hundreds of uses, offering a really strong environmental benefit. On the flip side, we have biodegradable plastics. Now, while they sound perfect on paper, they actually require very specific industrial composting conditions to break down, and they aren't always effective if they just end up in natural environments. So, the crucial point is that cloth bags win out over bioplastics, for sure, provided they're used consistently over their long lifespan. And getting there? That requires a shift from you. Next time you are at the checkout counter, keep these 4 steps in mind. 1. Always carry reusable bags with you. Just make it a daily habit. 2. Actively refuse plastic bags in stores. 3. Vote with your wallet by supporting eco-conscious brands that utilize refill and zero-waste systems. And 4. Properly sort and recycle your waste. Guys, these are immediate, practical steps that exponentially scale up when we all commit to doing them. But we absolutely cannot stop at personal habits, right? We have to push for systemic changes too. We need the corporate redesign of packaging systems to eliminate unnecessary plastics from the start. We need government enforcement of bans or taxes because the data clearly shows that drastically reduces consumption. We also need massive improvements in waste collection infrastructure and a global expansion of circular economy models. Sustainable policy frameworks and corporate accountability are absolutely essential to support our individual choices. The whole shebang needs to change.
And this brilliantly illustrates the true purpose of global awareness initiatives. As this quote captures perfectly, the ultimate goal is not a single day without plastic bags, but a permanent transition towards sustainable consumption systems. That hits the nail on the head. Plastic Bag-Free Day is a behavioral catalyst, entirely backed by environmental science. It is not just a symbolic, one-off event, it's the exact spark required to shift habits and protect our ecosystems permanently. We've seen the data today. You now know that a 12-minute convenience turns into a 500-year poison. You know that microplastics are winding up in our soil, our oceans, and even in our blood. And most importantly, you now have the science-backed roadmap to stop it. So to snap us all out of our consumer autopilot, I want to leave you with this final thought. Will you make tomorrow your first permanent plastic bag-free day?